Hi, my beautiful super soul sisters, and today we're going to talk about emotion shoes, feeling shoes. Really big one for women because, of course, we have hormones, don't we? Jolly hormones. The bane of many of women's laugh. Hey, I often laugh because, and I am joking, but I sometimes say I think God must be a man. Because, he wouldn't make us women have to suffer. So, hey, especially once a month. Oh, my goodness, like every single month we've got to go through like a whole week. What? Some ladies are lucky where it's only just a few days. Others, it's a bit longer. But look, this is something that I really wanted to talk about because, I'm probably already preaching to the choir, if I'm honest, because, this is more of a thing for men to understand with women, like they go, oh, it's that time of the month and they blow it off. Well, sometimes, yes, it is. And sometimes, no, it's not. But, by the same token, if it is that time of the month, like why, there are so many things that we could be doing to help balance our emotions so that we are more emotionally stable. And it's not just about having the emotional resilience toolkit that I talk about, that you can purchase all the, little tools and exercises and learnings and things, that techniques that are going to help you maintain your level of emotional stability and make you more resilient when the goings gets tough. Wow, that wind's really kicking in. This is rocking the car. So sorry, I got a little bit distracted there. But the emotional side of it is also something that you got to look at from a lady's perspective, right? I mean, hey, super soul sisters, give me high fives. Maybe that's a high 10, hey? Because we all struggle with this. And then, yay, there's a whole raft of lovely ladies who have menopause. And got to arrive that baby as well. So from the side of emotional resilience, yes, I can give you techniques and things that are going to help. But sometimes, if it's a chemical or hormonal imbalance, then obviously there's a need to address that. From the chemical perspective, really, there's not a whole heck that I can really do. I'm not a qualified, doctor or psychiatrist who could issue you drugs, but there's no harm in looking at an integrative approach. I'm all in favor. I personally am in favor of going all out naturally and seeing if that works, and if that doesn't work, then go to the next level. But I'm also of the opinion personally, and this is not to say it's right or wrong, they're just my pair of shoes that work for me. I like to have an integrative approach. It's like, why don't we just take the best of all the medicinal and all the different types of therapies and go, right, wow, that was really good, and just cherry pick the very best out of all of them to me, and have this awesome little basket that we can then go, okay, well, that works and that works, and that one worked for me last time, and it's like my emotional resilience toolkit that we have in our handbag. It's like, all the best stuff that I've learned over the years that I've cherry picked all of this at cost to me that you're getting for free. But the emotional, resilience toolkit, sorry, you do pay for that. I do beg your pardon. But I mean, it's not big dollars, not big bickies by any stretch of the imagination, because I want to make it affordable for everyone, right? So, I'll have that available on the website once we get it live. Bit of work still to be done, but we're working on it. So that you can go, right, that's great. So, just so that you are aware, I'm not a qualified naturopath or anything, but I have found certain natural remedies to work. You can go and research them. I wouldn't say rush off and buy these things without going to a naturopath or getting some kind of input from someone that has the wisdom, who is a qualified practitioner. So I'm just getting, hands up, okay, just letting you know that, all right, straight up off the bat, that's me. I just said how it is, but I can tell you these are the things that have made a difference. So with getting on top of the emotional side of it is having your emotion shoes on. get into motion, get into movements, changing your state. Okay, that's just one of the summaries. All of these things are about this. There's also the whole thing of doing all my techniques, but from an internal perspective, a hormonal perspective, these things called chasteberry, which you can buy in the form of Vitex. Now look, I'm just letting you also know, guys, I'm not endorsing any of these products. I'm also don't earn any commission, so there's no kickback or anything for me. I've just known that this has helped me personally, and also has helped other ladies who are struggling with hormones, things that can make a bit of a difference. So Vitex was one that has been very useful. The other one is ashwagandha. Now that is also really useful apparently for cancer, which I didn't actually know about until someone, a relative of ours, got quite sick with it. And I asked her, I said, what's your number one, like if you gave one thing that you would say to someone who had cancer, what would you give? And she said absolutely hands down ashwagandha. So I thought that was interesting. But that helps with hormonal balance. It also iodine is another one that can help. Iodine drops that you put in water normally, and it also boosts your immune system, I understand, with that one. Another one that can help is something called rhodiola. I will put these in the comments box for you guys so that you can go and have a look, but I won't be giving you links to anywhere, because you'll have to go to your house shop and get clarification, because if you're on meds of any sort, I don't care what it is, make sure there's no contraindications with them. I don't want anything clashing and making things worse for you, but these are certain things that I know that have helped with hormones, so you might have a look at it. So rhodiola is another one. You might also look at there was another one that I wanted to talk to you about. That's not really for hormones. Is that the lot with do you know what can really help as well is having flaxseed oil or healthy oils in your food, because that gives you the emotional, like with your ovaries and everything, it gives you the right oils so that things are smoother and more comfortable for you, and balances that out. Is that everything? Oh, licorice root is great. Even licorice tea, go figure. I mean, who would have thought that, hey? So I mean, you can just buy licorice tea at the shops, but again, not to take licorice, I think, if you've got low blood sugar, so or low blood pressure, it might even be. So I would be having a look at that to make sure that there's nothing that's going to clash there for you, but those ones have been instrumental for me. I had postnatal depression, I think. I was never diagnosed, but I can tell you it was pretty rough, especially after my second child, and oh man, I just was really struggling to get through the day, if I'm honest. And I had a lot of my NLP stuff that helped me, but it as much as I was doing all of that, it just wasn't cutting the mustard on, and no one thought to test my hormones. I mean, you've just had a baby, everything's gone haywire. I mean, I can't believe they don't. But anyway, they didn't, and I don't think it's a common practice anyway. But have a look at it if you're really feeling down in the dumps. And one thing that I would also point to now, I cannot remember the guy's name. He is absolutely amazing. There is a strong link for postnatal depression, especially if you are not bonding with your child, with a copper imbalance. So you might look into that. So one of the things that I would suggest for those who are game to sort of work out, what they do or what they don't, works for you. I learned a lot of my stuff through Allergenics. Okay, so I'm promoting an actual place, but I mean, look, I rate them. They're in Auckland, and it's a hair analysis place. And, again, I don't get any kickback from this. But I sent off my, hair analysis to her, and I said, look, I'm really struggling. She did a hormonal thing, test for me, and it came back that, I was low on all these, my hormones were all over the place. So she gave me this concoction, and honestly, it tasted like thick licorice syrup. And it came in like a glass bottles, and I was like, okay, whatever. And I took 2 swigs of that, and had a little rest, and about half an hour later I was like, oh my God, is this what the real world looks like? I was in a completely different headspace. It was unbelievable. And I phoned her up. I remember phoning her up. She's now a partner of mine, like for naturopathic stuff. And I phoned her up, and I was like, what is that stuff? Send me another bottle right now. I was like, oh my gosh. It was an absolute game changer. So this is where I'm saying, like sometimes, you've got to try lots of little things to see which ones work best for you. What shoes do you want in your closet? What little techniques, what little things do you need to have in your, so for all my tapping and all my other stuff, it was great. It helped me stabilize, but that pushed it over the bar. That getting that hormonal balance was what I needed in order to get rock solid and go, I can actually do this. This is amazing. So having emotion, getting on top of your emotions and getting yourself in emotion, the physical side, all the physical stuff that I'm telling you, and your internal dialogue, getting your emotional mindset right. Those two things, no problem, okay? But then there's sometimes the hormonal stuff, that's the chemistry stuff that goes haywire. Now, there is the chemical side of it as well, where psychiatrists issue stuff and whatnot, and sometimes I'm a little bit reticent, if I'm honest, just because I worry about the toxicology side of it, like what are the side effects of those things, and then I like to investigate like how can I mitigate those if ever, and I've never gone that route, okay? I just don't. If I can, and I've always had success on the natural, so there's been no need to. But sometimes like if you're taking an integrative approach or a complementary medicine approach, you do want to look at stuff that can go across the board. Now, just for anxiety, a really, really good one, look at Trudy Scott's work. She is a nutritionist from South Africa, and she used to wake up with doom. Every day, she said, doom, gloom, thought the world was going to come to an end. And a lot of it was she discovered was amino acids not being high enough. So amino acids are something that you find in your meat and your food, and so GABA, GABA, is the main one that she refers to for anxiety and stress. So she talks about very small quantities, having like a capsule, and having like a quarter or a half underneath your tongue 15 minutes before you actually eat. I'm not endorsing this, I'm just letting you know. And I find that folks that have adopted this, that have struggled with anxiety, have found that it's an actual game changer. Now, she does talk about 5%. I'm just letting you know, 5% of the world's population do not react well on GABA. It can actually make the anxiety worse. So just, test and measure. Sometimes you can do a whole capsule, and sometimes you'll find that you only need a little bit. Really great for people with social anxiety. I often find for people who have addictions, oddly, a lot of alcoholics have a lot of social, I found, I'm not saying that this is a standard, this is just what I've discovered, have a lot of social anxiety, and that's actually why they drink. So by having GABA, before they think about going out or whatever, actually lowers their need or what they perceive as their need for alcohol to take the edge off. So it helps to take that edge off that they talk about, the edge. I feel a bit edgy after work. Instead of hitting a glass of wine, they might have some GABA. Now, there is another one that she talks about, and that is L-tryptophan, I think it is, which is the the other option to GABA. If you can't do the GABA, then she talks about that. But anyway, go and have a look at for her. She is she focuses mainly on women too, by the way, ladies. So you know, if you're interested in that. And I have found GABA to be an absolute game changer personally. You know, and I also find that you know, when people are struggling, and even, you know, if the kids are old enough, if they're battling with a social setting, or they're getting sort of like those really big sugar drops, you know, like the blood sugar drops, and they're getting all sort of antsy and whatever, just a little bit even in juice. Now, please don't take this as God's, you know, given. I want you to go and get the right advice from practitioners before you go rushing off into using any of this stuff. And be mindful, be responsible. Don't go issuing to people without doing all the, you know, you've got to know the full picture of what's going on with them, which is why I always say a practitioner would be best, so that they can go, right, what are you on? What are your conditions? You know, if you have a genetic predisposition, you know, you can get a genetic type stuff done, so you can actually go, okay, well, you know, I wouldn't recommend this one, I would recommend that, you know, etc, etc. So hopefully the emotion shoes will get you into sync on the other side, not just of, you know, the way I put the E-emotion is because we want to have it where it's the emotional side is being addressed, but not just from the motion side, the physical side, and you know, doing all the breathing and everything, changing everything within your body. Sometimes we actually do need to get the hormones in check, and then the chemical stuff. Really, sorry guys, I'm not, you know, I'm a little bit out of my depth with that. I'm not a qualified psychiatrist or whatever. I don't tend to go there, so I can't even suggest what would work and what wouldn't. I do know that I can say, if I'm frank, that I find that there needs to be quite often a lot of support, natural stuff, if you are taking, just to counteract any possibilities of any sort of toxic kickback as side effects, you know, that come off those sort of things. So just be aware of that. And I would also say, do you know what, just to throw in one last gem that will shift the bar for you, vitamin C and vitamin B's are huge, especially B12 if you're feeling down and out. The B100s, where you get a good healthy B mix, you can just get at the house shop. You know, the ones that I tend to find tend to be low are the, let me see if it's B3, 6 and 12s. They really are quite key for emotional, you know, balance. So having a good healthy vitamin B complex, I often find helps with balancing the hormones and emotional chemical side of things. And vitamin C, Dr. Linus Pauling, look him up, he is amazing, and he talks a lot. He's a Nobel Prize winner, and yeah, he's the only one I think who's actually won it twice, if I'm not mistaken. Quite the scientist. And you know, he's written a book all about vitamin C and the impact that it has with colds, you know, coughs and colds, and he thought it was going to be quite a game changer. Anyway, one of the things that he actually found in that is that vitamin C can have a huge impact on people with depression. So he talks about optimal doses, and there is a limit. Don't go all out hard. There's different types of vitamin C and how to take it. So I'd be looking up his stuff and his regime as well, because that really does help people as well with depression. So I hope that, you know, and vitamin C, man, you can buy that in the supermarkets, right, and at the house shop. So I'm really hoping that you found that really useful for you today. So many things. I hope you were taking notes, because like there's just all of that set. Women's hormones. Let's get on top of them, baby. So really hope that you enjoyed that, and that you found that useful. Please give me a thumbs up and tell me that you like that. I don't really mind whether you're in, YouTube or in the Facebook group. Hopefully you'll give me some good comments and some feedback, and ideally that you'll share this with someone. So let's get some of those emotion shoes on so we can get our hormones balanced, and so that gives us that extra edge to just become more emotionally resilient and handle overwhelm, handle stress, and just get cruisy and directed so that we know what shoes we want, on what path, going which way, and with who. Okay, thank you so much, darlings. Namaste.